Good afternoon, everyone. It will be my honor to stand here to deliver a speech regarding my understanding to freedom and discipline. So, I have never been an so-called adventurer since I was little. I was a nerd, as somebody would call me, and I never really understood why people would like to go out there and test their limits. But there was a friend of mine who's the complete opposite. Surfing, scuba diving, and all sorts of thrilling activities are her cup of tea. She is especially fond of bungee jumping, and once I asked her why. She said this to me: "Don't you think it's so much fun when you jump off the edge of the platform, you can see the ground approaching your face rapidly as you fall. Wind blowing through your hair, adrenaline pumping through your veins. This is freedom, my friend, the purest freedom." How she defines freedom was actually quite thought-provoking, because to her it seems like freedom is breaking human limits, is doing something extraordinary that brings excitement, is feeling something that doesn't belong to your daily routines. This actually brings up a good question, though, my friends. What is freedom? Now, let's leave it here for a second and look at another impression of freedom. There is a saying that freedom is the absence of rules. It is to do whatever you want to do and go wherever you want to go. But is that true freedom? I say no. As Henry Robert had once said, "Where there is no law, but every man does what is right in his own eyes, there is the least of real liberty." Freedom does not exist without boundaries. They coexist with each other, and somehow they can never stand alone. Take the example of bungee jumping, let's say. Somebody would say that the feeling of free falling may be freedom, but one should never forget it is the elastic cord straps on your foot that guarantees your safety. Think about it, and you will realize every form of freedom around us work in this way. A kite is attached to a string no matter how high it flies. A bird goes back to its nest no matter how far it travels. In life, we children, we oftentimes complain that adults have too many constraints on us, don't we? Such as, don't play too many video games, don't consume so much junk food, don't be so obsessed with buying stuff online. Without those restrictions, without those boundaries, we can stay on our phone until we lost track of time, or consume junk food every single day. But those are not freedom at all, because they are not beneficial for us in a longer term. Therefore, we should always set ourselves boundaries and rules to obey, and this is actually for the sake of our own future. The boundaries we set for ourselves are called self-discipline, which is what I'm going to talk about today. Just as Confucius had said, "Do as you please. Do as you please, my friends, but never exceed the rules, because one cannot succeed without those boundaries and rules." This means more disciplined you are, more freedom you possess. Biologically, being lazy and enjoying instant pleasures is in humans' nature, which means it's written in our genes. Just like stinging potential threats is what bees do, and it is a trait the whole species is born with. But unlike them, we human beings, we have the ability to override our biology instead of being its prisoner. And this is done through self-discipline. We all have long-term goals, right? We do. Such as committing ourselves into a career that we love, or getting a university degree. They need time, energy, us being diligent. But we just are tempted by those short-term instant pleasures around us, such as short videos, social media, junk food, bad habits, and so on. Of course we want to hit those targets, but somehow we just keep succumbing to those short-term instant pleasures, which burdens us from what really is important. And this is where we should demonstrate our self-discipline. And as it is our unique way to achieve something that we truly want in life. Unfortunately, it's not a simple thing to do, my friends. The world around us is filled with temptations. Companies use something called supernormal stimuli, as they contain large contents of what human nature naturally desire into their products to make profits. Let's take the example of social media. Novelty, which means new things, unknown things. We human, we are naturally seeking out for them, as it is our way as our ancestors are gaining knowledge from their environment. And social media is designed to contain the largest extent of novelty, to seize our curiosity, and lure us to spend more time on it. I want to quote from Abraham Lincoln here. "Freedom is not the right to do what you want, but what you ought." What we should do is to reject all those temptations and pursue greater dreams. George Washington, the first president of the United States, was a very self-disciplined man. He made all these tasks like lists, and then all the tasks were like completed on time. Steve Jobs, he also was a very self-disciplined man. Nothing could ever stop him from doing what he ought to do. He did exercises and meditation every morning at 4 a.m. just to maximize his productivity at work. Buffett's office had no computers, no smartphones, only a shelf of books and a table spread out with newspapers. That's it. He said, "We don't have to be smarter than the rest. We have to be more disciplined than the rest." The successes of these people exemplifies the significance of being self-disciplined when it comes to obtaining true freedom in our life. Here, I also want to suggest a few ways for you to train yourself to be more self-disciplined. First of all, you would need a very strong motivation. If your will isn't strong enough in the first place, it will be very hard for you to persist, isn't it? Then secondly, you need to make a clear plan of tasks, and you should know what you are doing in the future and make steps towards it. If it takes a decade, that doesn't matter, because the only thing that you have to do is to move towards it step by step. What's worth noting is that all the tasks you set for yourselves should be at least performable, because reaching out for something that is just not realistic will only devastate your confidence. Moreover, just to reject any of those temptations around you altogether will be a very good practice for you to be more self-disciplined. Such as just rejecting all those party invitations when you're on a diet. Or just keep all your devices away when you're studying. Keep yourself fully engaged on this one thing that you're doing at the moment will let you to form a habit of being more concentrated whenever needed. Now, let's go back to this question. What is freedom? Freedom is not self-indulgence, my friends. It is a type of self-control, a type of self-restraint. It is our unique way to break the cage of human nature, of being lazy and enjoying instant pleasure, and embrace greater success. And that's all for my speech. This is Eva. Thank you for listening.